Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Breeze. Breezeway Productions The Breeze, where we bring you the latest in independent films and film festival news. And we have with us today director-writer Amanda Nell Eu here to talk with us about her film, Tiger Stripes.
Mana kau dapat benda ni?
Susah gila. Mak.
Apa? Satu sekolah kecoh kau datang period. Semua orang dah tahu kot. Mana boleh orang tengah period datang kat camping dalam hutan? Tak lama lagi bunting lah tu. Kita bagi benda tu makan.
Perempuan depan kamu ni bukan lagi anak kamu. Kalau kau tak nak sakit, kau keluar sekarang.
How are you?
Hi, I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me today about your film. So we could jump right into it. Tell me a little bit about Tiger Stripes.
Okay. Wow, I haven't spoken about Synopsis for a long time. When
Okay.
you're developing it and you keep pitching it. But
Sure.
yeah, Tiger Stripes is a film about this young girl called Zaffan, and she's a pretty wild kid at school.
Mhm.
But she goes through puberty, and she's the first one in her group of friends in her class to go through it. And
Mhm.
eventually, what is happening to her body, as it's changing and as her emotions are changing, it becomes something quite terrifying and something quite unreal. But it's really happening to her, and she becomes terrified of her own body, and eventually her community around her, her school, her family, her
Mhm.
best friends turn against her, and they reject her and attack her even.
Mhm.
And Zaffan basically goes on this journey where she has to figure out who she really is and who she's really becoming, and be proud of that. And eventually, she does have an outcome where she faces everyone who's gone against her as a proud, beautiful, strong creature.
It's always
Yeah.
good to see the girl that gets bullied ended up turning around and then showing all of the bullies who's really boss, especially when she has these. Well, I'm not going to give it away, but she has some very exciting developments that go on with her.
Yeah.
So that brings me to the next topic of the genre of the film is like a horror film. It's like a coming of age horror, so to say. What were some of your influences that you saw growing up and watching films that really helped you get inspired to make a horror movie?
Wow, watching films when I was young was a lot of horror. I mean, I fell in love with horror first, it was like the first genre that made me addicted to cinema. So I don't know. I mean, everything and anything and everything. I mean, from black and white silent films to slasher movies to a lot of those coming of age horror films and teenage films. So I don't know how to pinpoint which ones, but I think I can talk about at least the influences for Tiger Stripes in terms of the genre setting was
Yeah.
definitely this film called Hausu. I don't know if you know it. It's like the 1970s Obayashi film about a group of girls who go on holiday, and there's a heads flying and disembodied fingers floating and cats and blood, and those are things that, like, if you say those words at me, I'll be like, yes, tell me where it is, I want to be there. It's exactly right up my alley. So even the imagery, the colors of Tiger Stripes was heavily inspired by Hausu, and just the bizarre aspect of it, that kind of comedy, kitschy, campy feel is a huge inspiration. So I think Hausu was one of the biggest things that I spoke to my DOP a lot about, and also just the vibe and the feel of it.
It's super intriguing. If you're able to catch the trailer is up on IMDb, and so you can take a look at that to see about all of the colors that you're describing, and then it also showcases the location. And my next question is about the culture. Is there anything within the culture in that part of the world that showcases any type of creatures like this, or any type of developments like this?
Yeah, I think, for me, what I really wanted to do was kind of put a lot of our horror imagery back on the screen. I mean, we used to have that in the 50s when we had a lot of great films coming out from this region, but that's kind of died down, and I wanted to kind of show everyone how our folklore looks like. Everyone knows how Dracula looks like. Everyone knows what like a ghostly woman looks like in the West, but no one knows how our creatures are. No one knows our language or the visual language that we have in our horror. And that's like glowing eyes coming from trees. That's people turning into half animals. That's women that are found in the forest and you don't know where they came from, and all these kind of things that we grew up with, we still kind of talk about, even as adults, and kind of believe and practice. So all the imagery that you see there, it's probably a language that people from Southeast Asia can understand a lot easier, but I think it would be a fun kind of introduction to how we see our monsters in
Yeah.
Tigers.
I loved reading up on the folklore of Southeast Asia. There's like a whole different world of like the different gods and each of the things that they do. I have like a barong ring that I wear after I learned about that
Amazing,
type of
yeah.
culture. Yeah. So
Yeah.
when I read up on it, I was like, wow, all of this has been passed down from generation to generation. You could sort of see that you bring it into your film as you're describing it, so you can take that culture and make it into a film, and then people can learn more about it while they watch it. So I think that was super cool. If you were to showcase this film to audiences in your own words, how would you describe it?
It's wild and fun and funny and painful and sad, but also liberating. Yeah.
Okay, all of those things are good descriptions of the film,
Yeah.
and I did find it very fun. So, where can people go to find out more about Tiger Stripes?
Where they can find out, I think I'm not really sure about. Okay, the release date I think is June 14th in the US, in New York and LA in select cinemas, and it's also available on VOD at that time. But I think if you check out Dark Star Pictures, you probably get more information because they're the ones distributing the film in the US. Yeah.
Right on. Okay. And a fun little last question. Top three horror films. I could start by saying that the scariest for me was Salem's Lot. The most fun for me was Critters, and the film that I always like love to watch over and over again is The Thing, the remake. John Carpenter's The Thing.
Amazing. Well, that's so hard. Okay.
If
I'm
we're
gonna
talking
pick.
horror, it could be anything. You could throw
I
any
know,
three
right? But
movies
like
at me.
three. Okay, let's go with The Shining, just because I understand how Kubrick was really abusive to especially his female cast in that, but it is one of the most terrifying films I've ever seen, and again it touches on genre but very real issues of domestic abuse, and I think that to me is so powerful and frightening, and also beautiful in how the film is shot. Second favorite would be The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, the 1920s black and white silent film. I think that blew me away and basically made me want to make films just from the images alone, just from the stills. You'd be like, wow, this is incredible.
Mhm.
And then lastly, I guess let's go with Carrie, because why not? She's cool, she's badass, and I want her powers sometimes. Yeah.
It's true. I just would never go to prom with her. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for spending the time with me on The Breeze. And again, everyone go and check out Tiger Stripes. Want to thank you, Amanda Nell Eu, for talking about the film. And we hope that it has a great success. And we wish you the best of success on Tiger Stripes.
Thank you.